Okie dokie. Lights, camera, action. Say hi, Karen. You know all about Karen if you follow on Instagram. Karen's twin sister's in today. Hi everyone, welcome back. Today we're doing a Q&A. I feel like I haven't done one of these in a while, so I thought it was about time. Although I was thinking about today, I probably should have saved it for when I hit 10K, because that's not too far away. Although, could be months, but who knows. So I asked you guys both here on YouTube and then over on Instagram as well. I got a few questions. Hopefully there'll be something juicy in here, I don't know. It'll probably be a long video, so find yourself a snack or a glass of wine or a coffee, a beverage of your choice. Find a good comfy spot on the couch and let's get into it. I think we'll start out on Instagram. I've taken screenshots of everything and we're just gonna run through them in a random order here. There's a lot of repeat questions or questions that would provoke similar answers. So yeah, let's just start with, do you miss working as a nurse? I do, a lot. I didn't realize how much I was gonna miss it when I was there. It's one of those things, like you don't know what you got till it's gone. When I was working, I loved working. I did wake up excited to go see what I was gonna do, if the day was gonna unfold and whatnot. And definitely that was my dream job. If I could choose anything else, I would go right back to where I was. Because I worked with quite a young crew and there's a high turnover in the OR, people don't generally like to be there for long periods of time. They do the course, they come and they work for like a year and then they move elsewhere. Just kind of the nature of how it works, in Canada at least. But there are some that's their home and they're always going to be there and they stay till retirement. So I'd always get the question, how long do you think you'll stay here? Are you going somewhere else? Like, where do you think you're going to go next in nursing? And I was always like, I'm going to stay here in this OR on this very team, hopefully with these people until I retire. I loved it that much. Like, obviously some days I hated it. Signing out early as often as I could. I wanted out of there. And of course, leading up to our big move to France, I was counting down the days. I was like, see you later, guys. Overall, I really miss it. I love having that routine. It's like very regimented in the OR. Down to every minute is calculated there, and I just loved that. I loved being that responsible. I loved being part of a team. I loved helping patients. Yeah, and I just liked that there was a spot for me to go every day, you know? I do this at home, but it's very much secluded to myself. It's just me here doing my thing on the computer in front of the camera. I certainly miss it. I don't miss ward nursing. I would probably, I would avoid going there at all costs. I hated it. Will you ever go back to nursing? In the future, hopefully. If we move again, I'm not nursing here. Growing up, I always heard, oh, being a nurse is such a great job. You can do it anywhere in the world. That's not exactly true. Most countries you go to, you have to write their exam when you get there. And generally it's in their language. So unless you speak the language and you want to study for your exams again, which at least our exams in Canada took quite a while. Like I studied for weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks. And of course, the whole 4-year nursing program is prepping you for those exams. So yeah, it's not like you just land in a country, you go walk up to a hospital and apply. There's a lot of steps and procedures that go behind all of it. So I've chosen not to nurse here, but you never know in the future. Depends on where we end up. What country that you have lived in has had the best thrifting? For anyone new here, we have lived in a few countries in the last few years. Obviously, we're from Vancouver. That's the only place in Canada that we've lived. Then we moved to France. Oh no, sorry, I'm getting this all confused. We lived in Vancouver, then we moved in London, then we moved back to Vancouver, then we moved to France, then we moved back to London for a very short period, a couple months when Ken was doing an internship. And then we moved to Singapore, and then we moved back to Vancouver, and now we're here in Amsterdam. As far as best thrifting, I would have to say probably home in Vancouver or Paris. Although I didn't do it that much in Paris because we actually lived just outside of Paris. So when we went into Paris, it was more like a weekend trip, a day and a half trip basically. There's only a couple times that I actually went in and did some thrift shopping and came back in the same day. But it was good. There was lots of option, really affordable, cheap, actual thrifting. But I would say at home, mainly because I know my spots and it's just more comfortable there. I know exactly how it's gonna go down. I know exactly where to go, all that. So yeah, I'd say I was probably more successful and effective with my thrifting back at home in Vancouver. What is your job? And if it's YouTube, did you ever work as a nurse or something else abroad? So I kind of already answered that already. My job was nursing. I worked in the OR. I specialized in the operating room. So I did my 4-year degree in nursing. I worked on medical wards and surgical wards for a couple years, and then I worked as a float nurse, which was the craziest job I ever had. Whew. And then I did another almost 1-year program specializing in the OR, and then while I was in the OR I specialized in, my team was cardiac, vascular, urology, robotics. Did I say vascular? Yeah. But my specific area of expertise was urology and more specifically robotics. So I did a lot of teaching in that room and whatnot. Yeah, loved it. Jack the robot was my little buddy over there. Did you ever work as a nurse abroad? No, I haven't. How long are you expecting to live in Amsterdam and why did you move? We don't know how long we're going to be here. If it wasn't for family being a 9.5-hour flight away, we would probably be here forever. It is the most wonderful place to live if you're considering it. If you're not sure if you should make that leap, I would say go for it. It is, we love it here, like love it. If Amsterdam was within a couple hours drive of our hometown, Vancouver, where all of our family is, we would call it home. We would buy a place, settle down, done deal. But it's a little far from home, so I would say like probably a couple years, but it's very up in the air. Yeah, we'll just see where it takes us. You never know, maybe that'll change and we'll decide, yeah, this is it. Maybe we'll be able to convince all our family to move over here. That would be like the best, but I don't think that's gonna happen. And why did we move? My husband got a job offer here. We originally thought we were gonna end up in London. We thought that's where the job was gonna be, but things kind of turn at the end there, and we went for it. So we're here, and we're very happy. We actually love it more than we love London, so it all worked out. Are the shop clerks starting to recognize you from past visits, and are they friendly? So this is probably in reference to something I Instagram storied about a couple months into our move here, I would say. Some of the cash registers at my local grocery shop, actually just one, I don't know why I said some, there's just one that clearly hates me and I don't know why. I don't know, but I don't think she's warming up to me anyways. I think it's just a personal thing. I don't know, for some reason she hates me. She's not warming up to me. I avoid her cash register like the plague. So yeah, that, everyone else is really nice. But for some reason she's like, dislike, severe dislike for me. Where do you get your inspiration for recipes and meal prep? I don't really. I'm not really a recipes person. Actually, not at all. Once in a while, I'll see something on someone else's video. Like, we don't have real cable, so I don't watch, you know, like morning TV or the news or anything like that. Morning shows. I watch mostly YouTube and anything I can find online, basically. So sometimes someone will mention something and that'll spark something and it'll turn into this idea or that idea. Or I'll see something on Pinterest that'll spark an idea, but I very rarely follow recipes, like at all. We do pretty simple meals though. We don't do anything over the top. We do because we like to order out on the weekends and we like to drink a lot of wine and beer, unhealthy options. Most of the time when we're cooking at home, it's like salmon, salad, and like cauliflower rice, or a simple pasta with a protein, or just like chicken and broccoli and a side carb or something like that. Ooh, here comes the sun. I also like everything in the fridge, throw it into a bowl kind of person. I try not to waste too much, so when we have a lot of things collecting in the fridge, I just kind of put it all into a bowl, chop it up, saute some things, add flavor, so like hot sauce, vinegar, capers, anything with flavor, hummus, and just turn it into like a big Buddha bowl or salad and call it a day. What is your favorite type of beer? Mine is the chestnut ale that comes out at Christmas. That sounds good. Pretty much any beer. I like them all. But for years I always hated darker stout type beers, but like Guinness and whatnot. Over the years my palate has kind of developed even further and now I actually really like those. So I would say like across the board I like it all. Are you planning to travel more in Europe this year? We don't have any big trips right now. We would love to get back to Italy. That's like, in terms of what's actually already booked, there's only one. Our family is gonna be here, my side of the family is gonna be here in a couple months. So we're gonna be doing some road trips within the Netherlands with them. We're gonna be going out to the sea and we're gonna go out to see the windmills and other little cities that they wanna do small road trips on. And then right after that, Ken's family is coming to see us. And during that trip, we've got a trip to Bruges planned. So very exciting. Bruges is one of our favorite places in the world and has some of the best beer in the world, so can't wait for that. But hopefully somewhere in there we're gonna plan a little trip to Italy. Do you ever find yourself lonely when you're abroad and away from your friends and family? For sure, for sure, for sure. Like I said, it's just me here. We don't have real cable, so half the time there's not even like background noise happening. So yeah, it's definitely quiet. It's lonely. Ken's off at work most days. It certainly makes me very thankful that I have YouTube and my blog to work on, because that gives me a project and a little hobby to kind of keep me busy throughout the day. But yeah, for sure it gets lonely. I mean, at some point Netflix ends and there's nothing left on YouTube to watch, and I'm kind of like, okay, now what? Dating tips for an introvert and a Virgo, help. Oh my God, we're the same people. I don't know if I have much help there or much advice to offer. I hardly dated really, because Ken and I have been together since high school, and I only went on like a handful of dates. I never, oh, I guess I had a high school boyfriend, like grade 8. I had a boyfriend back then, but that was hand-holding basically in the schoolyard. So I don't have any good tips. I'm certainly glad I met Ken when I did, because I have heard through other friends and like through watching other people's stories on social media that it is rough out there. So, oh my God, thank God I have Ken. But if I were single, what would I do? That's hard. I like being at home, and there's not going to be, you know, men coming by to ask me out while I'm sitting at home. I mean, I like going to restaurants by myself and just sitting there and having a meal. So maybe I would go out to like cafes and just sit there by myself and hope somebody approaches me. I don't know. I don't know. That's hard. Really hard. It's like giving me anxiety just like thinking about that. How do you deal with living so far away from family and in the midst of a similar change? Thanks. Definitely we try to get home as often as we can. I've heard of people moving abroad and they don't come home for like years, which sounds crazy to me. Even when we didn't come home for 6 months after we moved here, we weren't home until Christmas. That felt like forever. Like we were both chomping at the bit to get back home again, get our feet on Canadian soil. We still get that like, our hearts are just going crazy as we're coming over the mountains, getting ready to land in Vancouver. Vancouver is where the heart is, but one way we keep the homesickness at bay is we keep regular schedules with our family with Skype. I'm always talking to my mom and my sister through like social media, Facebook Messenger and whatnot, and sending pictures back and forth. My mom loves watching my videos, my vlogs to keep up with us. There's one hair, what is going on with this? Yeah, we Skype with Ken's family every other Sunday, or sometimes more if there's something going on or we have something to update. And then my mom, we don't really have a regular schedule, but we do it every week, 2 weeks, whenever we feel like sitting down to have a chat. So works really well for us. We usually end up Skyping for hours and hours. So yeah, that works well for us. And then we try to make it home as often as possible. And of course now our family always comes to visit us where we are too, so that breaks it up a little bit. Any tips on how to save money? I'm getting better, but always room to improve. I've kind of always been thrifty at heart. I mean, I love spending too. Like I have expensive bags, expensive shoes, but I'm never the type of person to buy anything on Visa or credit card if I don't already have that money put away somewhere, like never. The way I would think about it in my head is if I wanted something, I had to pick up those extra hours to make up that money, pick up an extra overtime shift, or I'd stay an extra hour this day, an extra few hours that day, an extra night shift there, and then once I got it all collected together and literally I have the money put away in my bank account, not it's coming, but it's there, then I would splurge on that special item that I really, really wanted. But for the most part, I do live like pretty minimally, I would say. Like I love thrift shopping. I hardly ever buy anything that's really expensive at all. If it is an expensive item, I probably got it on clearance or I thrifted it. And just little tiny things like going out to buy coffee. To me, that's like, if I'm not going to get a coffee every day of the week, that's like how much saved at the end of the week, where I could maybe go out and buy a couple beers instead, or go out and buy a new shirt rather than having a coffee every single day. Even though it's only like $2 or $3, it all adds up. Especially when I was nursing, maybe once or twice, but very, very rarely. I can't even think of a time where I actually did buy a lunch or a dinner at work in the cafeteria. maybe a handful of times, but very rarely. I hardly ever bought coffee. I always brought my own coffee. I brought extra instant coffee to make my own coffee later in the afternoon. Once in a while on like a Friday, if I was having a particularly bad day or I just really hated the room or the surgeon I was working with that day, I would treat myself to a coffee in the cafeteria, but that was like a treat. I worked with a lot of people that would buy their breakfast, buy a lunch. If they're staying into evening, they'd buy a dinner in the cafeteria, plus they're buying coffees. They were spending like probably $50 just on food and coffee every day. By the end of the week, if you're working, some of them are working 6 days, 5 days a week, that's a lot of money. So yeah, little things like that, stretching things, it all adds up. Every little thing adds up. It's kind of in my head the same way as calories. Not that I count calories, but every little thing that you're eating adds up to your daily caloric intake. So if you want to be losing weight or slimming down, you have to bring that down to make up that extra money on the end there, right? Every little bit counts. That's kind of how it works in my head. Having said that, I do like to shop and I do like fancy things, but not on my visa, no. What else? What else? Shop, YouTube. Do you ever have boring days in Amsterdam? For sure. Like I said, we don't have any close friends or family here. Ken's at work most days, so some days I wake up and I'm just like, what should I do today? Yes, we're in Amsterdam, but we live here, so it's not the same as when you're a tourist here, right? You don't go out and tour every day or go to a new site every day or go explore this or explore that. You're just living your regular, normal life. Yeah, some days it is boring and I'm not really sure what to do with myself. But for the most part, I think over the last couple of years since I left my job and we've been doing this moving abroad thing, I think I've been doing a pretty good job at keeping myself sane and busy enough. Favorite podcast, or do you even listen to podcasts? I really am not a podcast person. I don't know, I just like seeing, like I mostly watch true crime, that's almost all I watch. Once in a while I'll watch like Friends or a new movie or something that Ken wants to watch, but if it's just me, it's pretty much all true crime and just random stuff that plays on YouTube. But I think I've almost watched everything, it feels that way. I know a lot of stories, a lot about a lot of different stories. So I probably should get into podcasts. I have been listening to one every so often on Spotify. I think it's just called, oh god, Crime Junkie. That's a really popular one. Everyone knows about that one, I think. So I listen to that one once in a while, but I just like seeing pictures, the visual, you know, like video clips and pictures of the actual incident. I think that makes me a little bit creepy, but yeah, I just prefer the video version versus the podcast version, but I think I'll get into them because I need some new content. What is the biggest culture shock you experienced in Amsterdam? I couldn't think of anything juicy for this one. I was hoping Ken would. So I messaged him this morning saying, do you think you had any was there any culture shock? Anything that you can remember, any specific incidents where we felt any kind of culture shock when we moved here? And he was like, no, it's been like pretty smooth sailing. So yeah, we both agree on that. Oh, my phone's not charging anymore. Oh god, that's not good. We say it all the time to people that ask us, do we like living in Amsterdam? It feels very much like Canada to us. It feels like Vancouver, just a slightly more European version of it with really cute buildings. If you're out and about in a grocery shop or something, people will often speak Dutch to you first, and then once I go like, oh, sorry, can you speak English? Other than that, it's pretty similar to living at home. Like the weather's the same, the people are very friendly, really smooth transition. The city's modern even though it looks really cool and very European. So yeah, there wasn't really any, I was hoping to have something good to say there, but there's really nothing, no big culture shock. The food's not even that different. It's been easy, we love it. Maybe my hard water hair problems is the biggest issue I've had so far, so. Do you both want to have kids, and would you have them in Europe or back in Canada? The kids question always comes up. Yes, we do want to have kids. Neither of us are like kid crazy. All of our friends back home have been popping out babies and we're like the ones that are, you know, just moving abroad and not having any kids. Eventually we would like to have some kids. We still feel like kids ourselves. Ideally, we'd like to have them close with our family, obviously back at home, but if we plan to be here for a few years, then who knows? Time's ticking. The clock is ticking. I feel about 18 up here, but I think my ovaries are feeling mid-30s, so we'll see. There's no good answer for that. Which areas of Amsterdam do you recommend living in? So when we moved here, we did a big tour. I did a whole video on it of house hunting, apartment hunting in Amsterdam, I think it was called. We hired a real estate agent to take us all over town. We told them exactly what we wanted, and I think they showed us 11 different places in one afternoon, all over town. Not so close to the center. Some of them were like a few streets out from the center, but kind of all over the place. And we had a pretty good sense of what we liked, so we eliminated a lot just based on the area, not necessarily the apartment. So the two areas we liked the most was De Pijp and the Jordaan area. So De Pijp, I would say, is a little bit of a younger feel. Lots of like hip restaurants and bars and cool little shops, and you could wander around there for hours for sure on a weekend. They have little markets over there and whatnot. The Jordaan feels a little bit more residential to us. You see lots of families with kids. It's just picturesque, beautiful, a little bit more quiet. We still don't really like the city center. Like, we hardly ever go into there, so we definitely gravitated towards the outer skirts of the center. Okay, I think we're gonna hop over to the YouTube questions. I think there's a lot of overlap in these questions, so I think I've kind of covered the majority of the questions there. Okay, so on YouTube, what is the name and where is the thrift store you mentioned that you biked to in your last video? So the two that I quite like on the west side of the city, and they're called Rataplan. Strange, it sounds like a cell phone company to me, but that's what they're called. And the one that I like the most probably, well, I guess I like them both the same. One of them is just north of Wester Park, and the other one is just below Wester Park. So if you're over at Wester Park, you can hit both of them easily in an afternoon. The one north of Wester Park has more furniture type stuff, and I would say is bigger, but I think I've bought more stuff from the one that's just south of Wester Park. So if you just go into Google and hit in Rataplan, those two will come up around Wester Park there. How to make friends in a new city? That is a good question. I don't know. I'm not good at it. I've never really had to in all the other cities that we lived in because we were there in such a short period of time. Plus we were there because of Ken doing his MBA for INSEAD. So we had like built-in friends. Whatever city we went to, there was already friends there. So I didn't have to work at all for it. But now we're here. We do have some INSEAD friends, and Ken has work friends, obviously. This move's a little bit different in that way, where we have to kind of rebuild completely. It's not just like a few months stay and then we're taking off again. It's like we're really staying this time. So yeah, if you guys have any tips, let me know, because I'm obviously not very good at it. How much Dutch have you learned since moving to Amsterdam? Not much. Some people call it the impossible language, so, and all but one person that I have talked to that is Dutch and lives in Amsterdam, they all say don't bother learning it. They all just say everyone speaks English anyways, you don't need it unless you need it for like a job or something. It's difficult to learn and you don't need it. And it's true, like just for living here, you don't need the Dutch language. Everyone speaks English. I mean, like the groceries are all in Dutch and whatnot, so that makes it a little bit more difficult, but for the most part, you don't need the language. But I think over time, we'll gradually just pick up bits and pieces here and there, just, just the basics that you need for being polite when out and about in the city. Yeah, overall, we haven't really learned much Dutch. Would you consider doing filming more cooking segments? I love them, for sure. Like I said, I'm not really like a recipe cook. I just kind of wing it and throw flavors together and just make it happen. My whole family's actually like that, so maybe it's a family thing. As long as it's got some veg and some protein. I like some carb if I haven't eaten a bunch of carbs, earlier in the day, and then just flavor. Just everything has to have flavor. Flavor everything, and it tastes good to me. Hidden gems of Amsterdam, like restaurants, grocery stores, or anything else fun you enjoy doing that aren't so well known. So this is another one I asked Ken, and he said to visit Wester Park, because most people that come here, they go to Vondel Park, which is also very, very beautiful. We vlogged a little bit there when we moved in June, but Wester Park is also really beautiful and very, very big. It's vegetarian, bitterball place. I can't remember the exact name of it. I probably pronounced it wrong. Anyways, I'll put it on the screen here somewhere so you can see where it is, but we love going there for a beer and our vegetarian bitterball, and I'm not a fan of the mincemeat, mystery meat bitterballen, so the vegetarian ones are perfect for me. There's a windmill brewery that we love going to on the east side of the city. Oh God, what is it called now? I'll have to put the name of that down here as well, but it's basically a brewery built into the bottom of a windmill. You're in Amsterdam, you're in the Netherlands, and you get to go to a brewery inside a windmill. It's a really cool spot. La Perla for pizza, that's in the Jordaan area. And we've also, especially in the summer, we went to a little bar called Tismale. They have a patio that's right on the water in a canal. So it's a really pretty spot for a beer, and they're really friendly over there. Nice people. They're not hidden gems, but those are places that we've really enjoyed going to. What is your biggest pet peeve? I'd probably have to say people that think the rules don't apply to them. That's probably why I like live PD so much, because just like, and like true crime and whatnot. People that just think they're beyond, they're God, you know, they're all holy, and rules, they're not for them. So they just bend all the rules. I'm such a rule follower. If someone tells me you can't do that, this is the law, don't break this, you know, I follow it, and it drives me nuts when people think that they're just too good to follow the rules. So even though I would never actually be a police officer, I love watching live PD and kind of pretending like I'm a police officer, because those people make me mad. Just follow the rules, man. If you don't want to go to jail, and you don't want to be arrested, and you don't have any money for bond, follow the rules and you won't go to jail. I know it's not that easy for some people, but oh geez. But you know what I mean? Just make good decisions, make good choices. Another one I would say is people being late. I think that drives a lot of people nuts, but I'm a very much like a early person. I'm not on time, I'm not late, I'm early. I know if Bubs is watching this, she's probably thinking, oh shit, I'm always late. That's kind of different, because I know that she's trying her hardest to get somewhere on time. She just never is on time. It doesn't really bother me that much anymore. It used to when we were younger. But people that just can't show up to work on time, that would drive me nuts at work in the OR. Our shift starts at 7. You don't roll in to report at 7:05 every single day. No, no. And then you get report and then you go to your OR. You don't then go to the washroom and then go get breakfast and then show up to the OR when we're already like getting the room all ready. No, it doesn't work that way. Get it together. I was always at work early. You know, I'd read a magazine or a newspaper, make my instant coffee at work. I'm there early, just in case there's an accident or I can't find my car keys, whatever the case might be. My card doesn't work to get into the hospital and I have to find security to let me in. Whatever the case might be. There could be anything that goes wrong and I don't want to be late. So I would always be there early, just in case. Because all it says to me is that my time is more important than yours. You're not important. My time is more important. Me getting my breakfast is more important. I couldn't get up 5 minutes earlier, so now it's going to inconvenience you. That's all it says to me. Nothing groundbreaking there. Probably just the typical ones, but those ones definitely irk me. What is your favorite thing to do for self-care that really makes you happy? Thrift shopping. I love thrift shopping. Finding that hidden gem. Shopping in general, but thrift shopping in particular. And probably just watching my true crime documentaries. I know that's really boring, but I love it. I really love like diving into these cases. I've been talking for so long that my SD actually filled up. I had to go find another SD card to finish this video, but I think I'm gonna leave it at that anyways. There was a lot of chatting going on, so much that my camera overheated and I filled up a huge SD card. So hopefully there was something of interest in there. I don't think there was anything too juicy, but if you've got more burning questions, juicy questions, leave them down below here, or I'll ask you again in the future, and I'll probably do another one of these videos in a good few months. I don't like to do these too often, because I just don't feel like I have anything that interesting to tell. But if you have more questions or if you really enjoyed this video, let me know. Give the video a thumbs up so I know you did like it and you want more of these. Even if it wasn't that juicy, make sure you subscribe to my channel if you're not already, and I'll see you in the next one. Oh, and happy Valentine's Day. Already wearing my pink, but I think I'll probably change it to some kind of dress. We're going out for dinner tonight. Italian, my favorite. Probably should put stretchy pants on. Okay, that's it. Poor camera needs a break now. Bye.